me because I wasn't able to be with them this morning. And so I don't know about going overtime, but I do definitely want to let people know. We have posted in the chat room questions for Drake if they will email it to freedomreigns.usa@gmail.com. Just direct questions, no rambling. We will compile them in list and address them on next Sunday's show.
I just want to say that I knew it was going to be a good day today, because first thing I did when I woke up was I broke wind, and it was loud enough to be heard next door, and they all came over to see what was going on. So I knew it was going to be a good day.
Oh, my goodness
And
gracious.
people are asking you to go beyond because they have questions. On that note, I'm going to mute my mic and sit here and watch.
Okay, I got more.
Go ahead, Mitzi.
All right, DHS just bought a bunch of ammunition. Do you know why? Why is DHS loading up with ammunition?
I'm going to say two things to that. First of all, I hear things that are being done. Then I look to see whether or not they're real. And just because you say you're doing something does not necessarily mean it's happening. So I would check and make sure that there is some sort of contract that's been issued along with a payment that validates what you're saying. Number two, most of these maneuvers can be, and in many cases are, a two-way street. By that I mean that the good guys will say, yeah, let them buy that ammunition. We can use it against them, if you get my drift. And that basically is where that's at. Why are they buying it? Well, it's a combination. Ooh, we're going to take over. And the other part is going, oh, wow, man, that means I can't get ammo for my gun. And then you got the third part going, cool, that means I'll have enough ammunition for the bad guys. So, pick one.
What about the UK being a republic?
Well, the UK is in for some large charge in that there have been entities in several areas working directly with people in the UK in order to do the same thing in terms of freedom that we have done here in the United States. I'll say this very clearly. There's some 20, give or take, nations who are interested in declaration of freedom so that they can then help with freeing their country and actually getting a taste as to what it's like not to have a Gestapo boot on their neck. And that's it.
What about the new monetary system and people having a 0-point interest to redo our economy?
That didn't quite come through clear. You broke up. Can you do that again?
Oh, sorry. With the new monetary system that's coming, is there going to be like a low interest rate so people can get into homes?
Okay. First of all, there's a lot of homes out there that have been foreclosed on. Those homes will be returned. Number two, people who have bought some of those foreclosed homes may have some fun and games in terms of finding a new one. Number three, the interest rate in terms of a mortgage is going to become a moot point. The reason I state this is that people might want to take a look at Iceland. The first thing they did was to tell the central banking system to take a flying leap at a rolling donut. Everything that the central banking system was telling them, excluding a small amount, was fraudulent. Therefore, Iceland ruled and considered their national debt as being fully and completely fraudulent, and that the bank could pay their own debt. Number two, recently Iceland forgave all mortgages. Now, this is something that's been going around the, quote, freedom channels and freedom philosopher tables for a while, in that you are your own creditor. the fact of the matter is that you are. And the fact of the matter is that these things will be officially recognized and rectified, meaning that you're going to see all of your federal taxes almost entirely, if there's any left at all, disappear, and your mortgage. Think about that.
Can you discuss the Super Soldier program that's going on right now? And it's twofold. Another one is that the Dark Cabal has been creating a super wolf-like clone, and have these been considered as far as what they're going to do with the guys that have been programmed, and also set up legally with bogus charges to keep them quiet?
Well, first of all, you got to remember something about clones. Number one, they are not physically stable. Number two, generally their longevity is even more unstable than their physiology. The third part of this is that no matter how well programmed something is, and this is a quote from a movie about good old Arnold Schwarzenegger being in the jungles. If it bleeds, we can kill it. Gotta remember something about clones. Number one,
who's ever at 828 area code, please turn the volume down on your computer because we're hearing the show again through your computer, area code 828.
Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, now, yeah, I've heard about the clones, and yes, I know something about them, and they're not as viable as everybody'd like to think, for one. Number two, there ain't as many of them as is needed to complete any basic operations. So they're kind of negative, or they kind of negate themselves. During World War II, the Nazis had flying discs that were armed. These flying discs had two capabilities. The field that they put out screwed our electronics in our bombers, or fighters, to the extent that they became unflyable. That's first. Number two, they had guns on them that they could fire as well. 2 or 3 of those took out a couple of flights. So if they were able to continue to manufacture those, they would have won the war, no question. We'd be eating borscht or something. The basis of this is that do not rely on the things that you hear as much as what you can look at in terms of provable realities. Now, a lot of what I do deals directly with what people would consider rumor. We hear this, we hear that. The difference is that the basis of it is being shown. And I'll give you an example. The package of documentation, the day it left our shore, when they couldn't catch it, and it got away from them, and it left our shore here in the United States, is the same day that the resignations started in Europe. They knew exactly what was going on and couldn't stop it, and they thought, oops, well, time to go. It's gotten worse since then. There are several organizations that have come up with evidence that shows that these people were perpetrating frauds, that they had bank accounts here and there that were hidden in Caymans or wherever, etc., that was the people's money that they'd stolen. So this is why you've got the arrests, this is why you've got the adjudications, this is why you've got the resignations. In terms of official documentation, I won't supply the official documentation until I'm allowed to do so. At present time, we're limited on what we can do, simply for the safety of the people involved, and to make sure that what we're doing works. Those are the 2 reasons, and those are the only 2 reasons. At the appropriate time, a whole load of information is supposed to be allowed me to put out. This will include official documentation. I've been told this more than once. I've also been thanked for not opening my big mouth and telling what I know. My tongue is sore, believe me. I have a lot of information that I would love to share with everybody, but I cannot do that. So I hope that answers the question.
Well, something that I would ask you on that note, since it is part of the public record now, on the resignations, they started back in September of last year. Is that around the time that you filed with The Hague, or was it October? And when exactly was it?
Now you know the approximate date that the first set of documents made its trip.
Okay. Thank you for answering
now,
that.
Approximate, what you have to remember about approximate date, first of all, when you send it, it takes about a week just for the transition from here to there. Second part is it takes a couple of weeks for them to show that they received the specific documentation mentioned. Then it takes another week to get back here. So you're talking 30 days on a round trip. So what you're talking about is that they found out it left, and oh my goodness, somebody's figured it out, and now we got a problem. Okay, they knew that the military would get in touch with us and request that each of the individual states do the same thing if possible, and that's exactly what happened. When that package left, that's when the extraordinary mass resignation started. You had a onesie, twosie, a couple that knew what was going on. We were able to bypass the agents that they've got posted at The Hague. We were able to get around the agents that tried to intercept here. So it happened. The project that we started has been completed, excepting that we decided, certain individuals of us, to continue and make sure that all of the 50 states had the opportunity to be free as we are. So that's basically where all that is lying right now. Okay?
Okay. Area code 828, do you have a question? Because we have limited time on calls here. If you could go ahead and
Yes, I do. Hi, how you doing?
Okay.
I'm friends with Grammy Brown on Facebook. That's how I learned of you folks. I like your station. I have one question to ask. When all this comes down to the final end and the way this is all being done, will our country once again be run according to the Constitution that our founding fathers laid out for us? Or will things be changed within the Constitution that we don't know of yet coming?
Okay, it's going to be a combination of that. The documentation that we submitted is all amendable. That includes the founding documents that we submitted. In other words, there may be portions of that documentation that are not either not concise or that deal with entities that we would rather not deal with, things of that nature. The other part of it is that they need to be made sure that they are structured correctly in order to fit the idea of true freedom. True freedom is going to be a personal responsibility as much as a legality. So everybody needs to get used to that idea. And that should answer that question.
Well, I am by heart a Ron Paul follower. I know it's too late for him to get in there as President of the United States or, to be elected right now. But I really do believe that that man had things going to where he would have probably taken this country back to the way it should be run. Wasn't too caring about his foreign affairs and how he wanted to handle things there. But as far as the Constitution, the basic thing that this country has to go back to is the basics of our Constitution. I think most things will be held right by then. And I'll let it go for that right now. If there's any more want to question on that or answer any more, I'll let that go for now. Just wanted to say hi, and I thank you guys. I think things are going to come out ahead. It might be a little scary for everybody a little bit for a while there, but I think we're on the right track here.
Thank you for your question, area code 828, and if you have any more questions, please think of them.
I'll be listening.
Yep, start forming lists of questions, and also listen to the interviews that Drake has already done, because some of your questions may have already been answered Somebody was asking if we're still looking at doing things in April, and